Hey, you. Come closer. I've got something for you tonight. Straight from the bottom of the satchel. It's about a little town called Morningvale, where every backyard blooms with peonies. Beautiful, right? Yeah, that's what the stranger thought too, until he learned the one rule you never break. This one's called All Around the Peonies. Let's see if you can guess the rule before it's too late.
All Around the Peonies by Tom Leveen. Read for you by Taylor Coan. Desi Knitter's right hand ached as she tended the peonies in her family's cemetery. She wondered if it was arthritis, though she was only 47 and unsure exactly what arthritis was. Regardless, the ache made her want to throw in the trowel, as her mother Ma Kelly used to say, and laugh and laugh. "The flowers must be planted," Desi muttered. It was a common saying in town. Bernard, Desi's oldest son, had filled in Ma Kelly's grave only weeks ago after the old matriarch finally succumbed to whatever illness had driven her mad with agony. Desi frowned at the memory and used the back of her index finger to dab a tear. Ma had been such a remarkable, vibrant woman her whole life. Desi knew this not only from growing up with the black-haired beauty, but from the way others in Morningvale spoke of her. She hadn't deserved to pass in such pain. The pink peonies seemed brighter today, Desi thought. It might be the warmth. Certainly summer seemed to come earlier and earlier to Morningvale these past few years. As a child, Samhain had been a chilly affair, one that caused Ma Kelly to insist on sweaters or coats that utterly defeated the purpose of dressing up in costume. By the time Bernard was old enough to go out and celebrate, no such extra layers were required. Desi had heard low talk at the co-op about climate change, but didn't fully understand what that meant. She dusted off her hands and stood, taking in her work. The family cemetery, like every plot at every home in Morningvale, stretched out for an acre or more, with the oldest graves nearest the rear of the house and newer graves, like Ma Kelly's, further out. The tombstones told that family's legacy as clearly as the townsfolk's names: cobbler, baker, boatman, farmer. Ma Kelly Knitter hailed from a long line of proud clothiers. Desi bent to pick up her trowel when a voice startled her. "Excuse me, I'm looking for the town library." Desi straightened and her back complained. Arthritis, she wondered. In the dirt road, formerly known on town maps as Yarn Hollow, stood a young man, perhaps half Desi's age. He wore a bright blue camping-style backpack, plus a black satchel over one shoulder. His brown hair shone brightly under the morning sun. Desi could see his teeth shining whitely, even from this far away. "Hello," she called back and slowly walked his direction. The young man waved and, Desi was pleased to see, for she disliked strangers, did not step foot onto the immaculate grass in front of the old white clapboard house. "Hi," he called as she approached. "I'm looking for the library." Desi stopped a few wheelbarrow lengths away from him. "Library's down this road. Take a right and just keep walking up Main. You'll spot it." "Great, thank you," the young man said. "Your house is amazing." Desi glanced back at the 2-story farmhouse that had been built by her great-great-great-great-grandfather, Samuel Knitter, and his family when Morningvale was founded. "Well, thank you," she said. "I suppose it is." The young man's face turned questioning as he scanned the neighborhood. Houses in Morningvale were quite far apart, but still visible. If you don't mind me asking, are these all, graveyards in all these backyards?" "Well, yes," Desi said. "Wow!" He took a thin rectangular object from one pocket and held it up. Desi took a step back. "I'm sorry, what is that? What are you doing?" "Oh," the young man said, "just live streaming. Or trying to. You guys don't get much signal out here. Signal? Yeah, for the internet. Internet? Desi wondered. What on earth is that? He doesn't appear to be a fisherman. Begging your pardon, she said. What is it that brings you to Morningvale, if I may? Oh, sorry, the young man said, slowly turning in place. Desi saw, remarkably, that whatever he pointed that little rectangle at, an exact image of it showed up on one flat side of the device. I'm Daniel Gnarly, from YouTube. Desi stared at him blankly, partly on accident and partly on purpose. This Daniel fellow was an outsider, and she didn't like his words. She glanced back at the cemetery. All was well there. She hoped her ancestors weren't disturbed by him. Daniel's expression worked itself into a slow grin as he stared back at her. Never mind, I guess, he said. Anyway, I'm doing a whole series called The Gnarly Walkabout. Like in Australia, I just hit the road with my stuff and I'm streaming back all the interesting stuff I find. I also do a whole thing on local libraries, so... Desi folded her arms and put on a cross expression. It didn't faze Daniel. This fact was further irksome. So, all the houses, this young man barreled on, they each have their own graveyard, huh? Yes. Isn't that kinda creepy? Desi sucked in a breath. Sir, if you're looking for the library, I've given you directions. But no, for real, Daniel said, and stepped onto the property. Desi was too aghast to protest as the stranger walked blithely across the lush grass and toward the back acre, where tombstones stood in rows like teeth. I mean, there's so many, Daniel said, pointing his device at the headstones as he walked, and Desi followed behind. These must go back. Oh, look at that. Samuel Knitter, 1802. Wow! Desi's heart raced. She wondered about its health. Sir, please. And the flowers, Daniel went on. There's so many. You do all these yourself? He looked over at her. Desi's fluster cooled to a quiet pride. The flowers must be planted. The peonies, with their bright pink blossoms, surrounded each headstone and grave, as if demarking where the departed had been laid to rest. Morningvale, per tradition, used no caskets, preferring a natural return to the earth for their departed. As a result, the flowers were well fertilized. Daniel took off his stuffed backpack and set it on the grass. Desi tensed as he hunkered down near a gravestone. Don't! She gasped, and he reached out a hand. Daniel glanced at her. They're just so beautiful. We mustn't disturb the flowers. The flowers must be planted. Daniel grinned. Or what? Desi cast a nervous look around the back acre. The stranger saw it. What's wrong? Desi lifted her hands, dirt still beneath her fingernails, in emphasis. We mustn't disturb the flowers. Why is that? It's tradition. Our ancestors demanded it when they founded the town. It's our rule. Oh, Daniel said, and rose to his feet. Rather than picking up his blue backpack, however, he continued strolling down the cemetery. Nibbling her lip, Desi followed. Something in her guts had begun to give her an oozing sensation. Every house, Daniel mused as he showed his rectangle to the yard. Flowers everywhere. It's amazing. You should sell tickets. Desi frowned. She didn't like strangers coming through this town as it was, never mind selling tickets like it was an annual fair. Daniel spun around so abruptly, Desi fluttered a hand to her neck. I've got to have one, he said. Just one. She gestured as if to shove him down. No! Daniel smiled, slowly, and bent down once more at the same rate of speed. Desi took an alarmed step back. Please, you don't understand. The young man moved his rectangular device so that the image faced himself. He spoke as if talking to someone only he could see. I'm in this small town right now where every home has its own personal graveyard. Are you guys seeing this? Look at how many gravestones there. And each graveyard has its own flowers. Like these beautiful, He looked at Desi. What are these again? Peonies, she whispered, feeling the blood rush from her extremities. She'd heard the stories, of course, of the 2 times in town history where the rule was not obeyed. She had no desire to see it firsthand. Peonies, Daniel said to his device. Almost as far as the eye can see. So, let's do a contest. The first person to like and retweet this will win a hand-pressed flower from this beautiful yard. He's going to do it, Desi thought deliriously. He really is. Daniel reached out, dug his fingers in the earth, and plucked a single peony. Ah, he said, as if having finished a great beverage. You know, when I was a kid, my old sister taught me how to press flowers. She was into scrapbooking and all that kind of stuff. So what I'll do for my lucky winner is The ground beside him began to stir. He saw this movement under the earth and remarked, Whoa! No, Desi whispered. We mustn't disturb the flowers. Daniel attempted to stand. The skeletal hand bursting from the grass made this impossible as it clutched his throat. Desi shut her eyes tight and pivoted on her heel. She took a few steps in the blindness before opening her eyes, trying not to listen to Daniel's fate behind her. All around the peonies, other hands burst forth. In her own yard and those of her neighbors, the ancestors awoke. They would come from all over town, Desi knew from lore. All the former inhabitants of Morningvale would gather and punish the townspeople, as they had twice before. Such a simple rule, Desi thought, as Daniel's scream was cut off from somewhere behind the house. She went to the front porch and sat on the steps, waiting. Nothing to be done about it now. Desi folded her arms atop her raised knees and buried her head there. Her back ached. Arthritis, she wondered. Doesn't matter now. It took only moments for a shadow to fall across the grass in front of her. Desi sighed and lifted her head. Hi, Mama. I'm so sorry. The end. You've been listening to All Around the Peonies by Tom Leveen. Audio copyright 2024. All rights reserved. For more horror stories, reviews, and writing advice, please visit tomleveen.com/horror.
Hey, you. Still with me? Good. Peonies are lovely, aren't they? But maybe we should admire them from a distance. Thanks for keeping me company tonight. You know I love having you here, even when the stories get a little grabby. Get some rest, little goblin. I'll be back soon with something new from the satchel. And remember, it's after midnight, somewhere.